Hi, welcome to my channel. If you're new, welcome back if you're a subscriber. So I'm really excited for today's video because in honor of Taylor Swift's new album release, Midnights, I wanted to do a fun recommendations video. And one of my favorite songs on the album is definitely Vigilante Shit, of course. And I wanted to recommend some books that give vibes from this song. So all of these books will have revenge vibes, they'll have some badass female characters in them, and I can't wait to share my recommendations with you. But before we get into it, I want you to tell me what your favorite songs from the album is in the comments. I could not narrow it down very far. I have 11 favorite songs so far. I have a list of them right here. So obviously Vigilante Shit, and then Sweet Nothing, Mastermind, Bigger Than the Whole Sky, Midnight Rain, Lavender Haze, High Infidelity, Glitch, You're on Your Own Kid, Question, and Labyrinth. So those are all my favorites so far. I'm sure as I keep listening, they'll kind of evolve and change depending on my mood. I love Taylor Swift's lyricism so much, and I really love her slower songs. Of course, I do like her bops, but I'm really drawn to her slower, more emotional songs. So those are my favorites. I want to kind of let you know what the song is about. It's pretty obvious from the title, but I do want to delve into it a little bit more. So this song is obviously about revenge, and vigilante is defined as a member of a self-appointed group of citizens who undertake law enforcement in their own community without legal authority, typically because the legal agencies are thought to be inadequate. So I thought that this would be a perfect guide for recommending some really good revenge horror books that I love. This is one of my favorite tropes. Also, I wanted to say I'm wearing my strong female lead shirt, which I felt like would be perfect for this video. I know I'm sitting down, so you don't really see it for the majority of the video, but I thought it was perfect. And I also want to let you know some of my favorite lyrics from this song. I have them written down here. Of course, draw the cat eyes sharp enough to kill a man. Also, I don't dress for women, I don't dress for men. Lately, I've been dressing for revenge. And then finally, while he was doing lines and crossing all of mine, someone told his white-collar crimes to the FBI. So let's get into the recommendations, and as soon as I heard the song, I immediately started thinking of book characters. And if I had to choose just one book to go off of the vibes of the song, it would definitely be They Never Learn by Layne Fargo. This screams the song's vibes. I also wanted to say that this song also gives me huge No Body, No Crime vibes, as well as I Did Something Bad. So these recs can be for those songs too. But this main character just screams this song so much. So I've talked about this so much on my channel. I'm obsessed with this book, honestly. It's about a female serial killer, and basically she's a professor at this prestigious university, and every year she chooses the worst man on campus and murders them. You're also following another girl at the same college as well. So there are two perspectives, and the twists and turns in this book are so good. You are rooting for this main character so much. I mean, I was. And it's just such a fun, fast read. There is a plot twist in the middle that made my jaw drop. In the song, you definitely get like hot girl vibes, and definitely you get hot girl vibes in this book as well. So I would highly recommend this book. It's so good, and it also has the dark academic setting, which elevates it to another level in my opinion. Let's talk about one of my favorite books of all time as well, Confessions by Kanae Minato. And this one is definitely a thriller, but I also 100% consider it a horror novel as well. It is really disturbing, and it really goes there. So this one is about a teacher, and her daughter has passed away, and she is teaching her final class of the year, and she basically at the end of the class tells the students that one of them is responsible for killing her daughter. So this one is formatted really interestingly. So every kind of long portion, which I guess makes up a chapter, is alternating perspectives. So I listened to this one, so I don't know how it physically looks in the book, but it's very interesting because you'll start really thinking one way through one person's perspective, and then it switches and everything flips, and you keep changing what you think is going on throughout the whole book. It is so good. There are strong revenge vibes throughout the novel, and it's highly disturbing. It's another one where your jaw will literally be on the floor, and it is such a good discussion book. The next book I want to recommend is The Collective by Alison Gaylin. This one is a really good revenge thriller book that makes you sort of question morality and justice and all of that. So this one is about a really angry, grieving mother. She is obsessed with finding the man who killed her daughter and seeking revenge. So she is approached by this secret society of women called the Collective, and their whole purpose is to do revenge killings. And so she gets dragged into this, and first she's really excited about this. She feels angry and she wants to, you know, have justice for all of these women who are grieving just like her. And each of the members is really important in this kind of intricate system of how the person will be killed. So she's taking part in all these revenge killings, but she doesn't know the full story. And that's where the whole morality issue comes into hand. And she starts wondering if she actually agrees with the Collective. So this one was very interesting. I feel like I haven't heard that many people talk about it. And I also want to say I'm just loving this cover. It's also a very quick, fast-paced read. I read it on audio and I had to get through it just to know what happened. Next, I want to talk about another kind of thriller, but also a dark romance book called the Mindfuck series, but the first one is The Risk. This is a series all about revenge, and it is about a main character who is a female serial killer, and she actually falls in love with an FBI agent who is working on her case. This one is so fast to read. It reminds me of Criminal Minds. It has, like I said, some romance in it, and it's very fast to get through. The writing isn't anything profound, but I think it's definitely engaging and worth the read if you like revenge books, because something horrible happened in her past when she was a child, and she's seeking revenge on all the people who were involved in that. And so you're slowly kind of learning about what happened to her as a child and learning about her as a character and how she got to the place she is now. So it's very interesting. And it's a whole series. You can actually get the whole book together. I read it on Kindle Unlimited because it's all free on there, but I would recommend this series if that concept sounds interesting to you. The next book I want to talk about is The Girl in 6E, and this is by A.R. Torre. And this is a really recent read. I read it and I absolutely loved it, and it fits this prompt so well. This is another book about a female serial killer. I guess a lot of these are about female serial killers, but this one is about a cam girl, and she has locked herself in her apartment for the past 3 years because she doesn't want to kill anybody, and she makes her living camming. But she has this really disturbing client who seems like he is a child predator, and he makes her role play as this very specific child. And what happens is she sees in the news that someone kind of fitting the description that she's been role playing has gone missing, and she doesn't think the police are taking it seriously, and so she decides to take matters into her own hands and try to save this child. And also this has some romance in it as well, which is kind of interesting. So I would highly recommend this one. It's a super fast read. I know it's a series and I definitely want to continue on in the series, but I really enjoyed it. I also really like the audiobook for this one. Helped me fly through it, and I would highly recommend this one for giving these vibes. Let's talk about a YA book, and it is Sadie by Courtney Summers, and this one is really good. I enjoyed it so much, and the audiobook for this one is a must in my opinion because it has a whole podcast element that really works on audiobook, and you feel like you're listening to the podcast. So this one I highly recommend the audiobook for, but this one has really good reviews. Most people really enjoy this one. This is about Sadie, and she's gone missing, and this podcast is trying to follow where she might be and kind of her history and what happened with her. She had a very difficult life, and she kind of took care of her sister, but her sister Maddie is found dead one day and her world crumbles, and Sadie thinks she knows who is responsible for this, and she wants revenge. So it alternates between podcast and also Sadie's POV, and it's definitely a good revenge thriller recommendation. The next book is The Perfect Ruin, and this one is by Shanora Williams. So in this one, you're following the main character, Ivy, whose life was ruined by this really rich and famous woman, and her name is Lola Maxwell. So she appears to have the perfect life. She owns this big organization, she has this husband, she's very rich, and just seems to have the perfect life on social media. So Ivy is determined to ruin her life like she ruined her own. So revenge is a big plot in this book, and Ivy basically sort of infiltrates her life, gets in with with her circle of friends. She starts falling for her husband and tries to seduce him, and it's kind of this spiral of things happening. So I would recommend this one for a good, quick, fast-paced kind of popcorn thriller. It's really easy to get through, and I feel like it's pretty underrated. Let's talk about one of my favorite books, which is In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. This is a perfect revenge book, and again has that little dark academic flavor, which I love in books. This also has the reunion trope, which is another trope I really enjoy. So this one focuses on 3 old friends from college reuniting at this reunion, and the main character you're following wants to kind of prove that she has this really successful life now, and she wants to show everyone how beautiful and confident she is, and she's really looking forward to just showing off at this reunion. She desperately wants to move on from the tragic life of her college friend, and her college friend was actually murdered. But obviously not everybody is ready to move on because someone looks like they are seeking revenge at this reunion. And once they're all together, they really have to confront head on what actually happened that night. So this was a debut novel and it was amazing. I was hooked from the very first page, and I rarely read books in one sitting. I don't think I fully read this in one sitting, but it was pretty close to it. I was so interested in what was going on. I had to know what was gonna happen. I really didn't know where it was gonna go. I was suspicious of everyone, and I loved the flashback chapters and learning about everything that happened, the drama and the deception and the lies, and all of that was just so good in this novel. Also, the twist at the very end was so shocking and chilling. It was so good, and I just feel like I'll never stop recommending this book. Next, I want to talk about The Guest List by Lucy Foley, and this is another kind of similar concept to In My Dreams I Hold a Knife in the way that it's a bit of a reunion. Basically, the main character is having a wedding on this remote Scottish island, and all of these friends who have dark pasts together are back in this isolated remote setting. And in the beginning of the novel, you know that someone has been murdered, and throughout the novel, you're sort of going back in time leading up to the murder. So you have the present, and then you have flashbacks, and then you have even more flashbacks to the past and their history together. So someone is seeking revenge in this novel. It's very clear. Everyone seems guilty. I was really shook by this novel. I loved the atmosphere. I loved the reveals. It was so good. It was surprising. I didn't guess the twist. And I actually felt pretty attached to some of the characters, which I love when that happens with thrillers. I feel like whenever I end up connecting or feeling a lot of empathy for certain characters, it just makes the book way better than if I just hate all the characters. I will say there are exceptions to that. I'm getting to one where I hated all the characters, but in this one I was attached to some of the characters, and the setting in this was so good. It's perfect for the fall. I highly recommend this one. And the audiobook is a full cast, so that was really enjoyable as well. The last book I'd like to talk about is The Kind Worth Killing by Peter Swanson. This one has multiple POVs and it is quite a twisty, turny book. I love seeing all the connections between the characters. There are a lot of different twists in here, and I highly recommend this one. This is about 2 strangers meeting in an airport bar, and one of them is a man, and he's sort of venting to this woman. He's sick of his wife because she's cheating on him, and basically he jokingly says he wants to murder her, and then the woman's like, okay, let's go, let's murder her. I think that's all you need to know for this book. Just jump in. And like I said before, all of the characters in this are terrible. I don't like any of them, but this was a really enjoyable read. Those are all of my revenge thriller recommendations. Those are my favorite books that I read with this revenge trope. I hope I keep finding more revenge thrillers and horror books that I love because it's just one of my favorite things to read about. And I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you all very soon. Bye.